What's up today, guys? I got a treat for you. In 10 minutes, I'm gonna share with you how to buy a property without having to qualify for a loan. Let's go. Three reasons why the next property you should buy, should be leveraged by somebody else's credit, by somebody else's mortgage. You should not have your name attached to that mortgage. I know this seems a little different. The number one reason why you want to leverage other people's mortgages is because you don't have to use yourself. You don't have to sacrifice yourself in order to gain, okay? Typically, banks like for you to use some kind of collateral, okay? Typically, banks like to have you put a down payment and like to pull your credit, all as like leverage, for them to put against you. Now, when you leverage somebody else's mortgage, you get the protection of not having to guarantee the loan, okay? This is super critical because as real estate investors, our number one risk is being over leveraged, okay? That's literally our number one risk in real estate investing. Number two reason why you should be leveraging other people's mortgages is you can buy as many as you want. And when you buy houses leveraging other people's mortgages, there's no cap. So literally, if I had 100 opportunities where I could leverage somebody else's mortgage, I could buy all of those properties today. Today. No limitations at all. The last reason is because you get to help someone else, okay? At the end of the day, real estate investing, yes, we do make money, okay? Yes, we, do stuff and have fun and entertainment and travel and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, okay, we provide jobs for people, okay? At the end of the day, we help people get out of certain problems. And honestly, the joy on these people's faces when you help save them from foreclosure, when you give them some cash outside of their loan, when you do what nobody else could do, right? In terms of their house and selling of the house, when you do that, you just bless somebody's life. And that's amazing. Now, I don't want you to hold back anybody's blessing just because you didn't implement this. Because like when I was first getting into subject 2, I was told that it was a totally different contract than my original purchase agreement.
Yeah, I would disagree with that.
Yeah.
It's the same contract, just you need some additional terms.
Yeah, give me one clause or one term or a couple terms that I should add to my normal contract if I'm taking over payments from a seller.
Yeah. And you said it exactly right. So the difference between a subject to and an assumption is that you are not assuming their loan, you're just taking over their payments.
Right.
And so you always want to use that language because you want to be honest and truthful with whomever you're dealing with. That's where you get in trouble, is if there's ambiguity or if you're kind of hiding the ball. That's a big no-no. I mean, it's just going to lead to a lot of problems.
For sure.
So the two biggest things that I would say is it's still just the seller's agreeing to sell it and you're agreeing to buy it. The two different terms are that you're going to take over the monthly payments.
Right.
So disclosing that their loan is not going to be paid in full when you buy it.
Right.
It's going to keep going. We have an addendum.
Right.
We call it subject to addendum, and it has all that language in there. And the reason we like to do that right from the contract stage is because then we've seen where sellers, talk to Cousin Joe. And Cousin Joe doesn't have any money, but Cousin Joe says, well, I would have paid more for the house and I would have paid off your loan. And Cousin Joe never would. But he talks to the seller, and the seller gets what we call seller's remorse.
Right.
And then they start saying, well, you lied to me. This is unfair. And we just want to be able to say, no, right from the beginning, we told you this is exactly how it's going to work.
Right.
So that's kind of a big key term. The other thing is, and we do this in our subject to addendum, is sellers will ask us sometimes at the closing, well, how long is my loan going to stay out there? And I say, well, when's the last payment due?
Right.
Because that's all my client's promising, is that they're going to make the future payments. They're not going to promise you, because you don't know what the market conditions. I mean, my goodness, the economic condition we're in right now.
Right.
I would not want to promise a seller that I would have their loan paid off by the end of the year.
For sure.
'Cause who knows what's going to happen to the market.
Hey, wait right here. If you guys are loving this, I have a training coming up May 27th, Home Loans for Everyone. On this call, we show you how to buy houses without having to qualify for a loan, whether you want to buy a personal house, your next rental property, or your next fix and flip property without having to bring any credit, down payment, or any of the non-requirements that you need in order to qualify for a loan. Now, with this one is a special one because we're actually going to meet after the virtual training at 6 p.m. at one of my Airbnbs. So look, I want to see you guys in the class May 27th. Talk to you soon. This topic that we're going to talk about today, taking over other people's mortgages, is one that's really like one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites because it gave me my like explosion in owning rental property. Like, okay, everybody's approved. You thought you wasn't approved? You approve for this, okay? You approve for this. Essentially, buying houses subject to the existing mortgage allows you to buy a property by leaving the current owner's mortgage in place, okay? While the deed goes into your name. Deed, which is the ownership, your name or your trust name. Deed of trust, where the mortgage is, that stays exactly the same. Okay, now I know you're thinking about why would somebody want to, do that? Most of these people that are agreeing to this are, from my experience, are typically having some kind of hardship. They're typically going through something where that weight is too much to bear, compared to this mortgage. So let me just give up the mortgage. That gives up my weight. I'm free. So clever. Okay. Now, a lot of people are typically, like 90 days behind, and they don't really have like a plan to catch up, or for whatever reason they don't believe that home ownership is for them. They much rather that somebody else take care of the maintenance. And hey, if it's this young man, then great news. You can do it better than I can. There's a lot of people that are in pre-foreclosure. Okay, that are in pre-foreclosure. Pre means that the bank does not own it yet. The bank does not have control yet. It's still in the owner's name. There's a lot of people in pre-foreclosure who need your help, okay? Because most of the time, especially in our neighborhood, we'll use phrases like give it back to the bank. We'll use the phrases like I had to let it go. But we don't really realize that there's an opportunity for us to make some money, right? There's an opportunity for us to save the house. There's an opportunity not to just let our credit go down and hey, it was a good ride, but that's over. Okay. So let's get you your first deal by taking over mortgages. Okay. 3 different ways of how you're going to make money on this property. Like literally how this property is going to pay you to take over somebody else's debt where they're 3 months behind on. Okay. So number 1, you're going to do a lease option on the property, okay? Because somebody's in the rears, okay? When you're taking over mortgage payments, typically they're in the rears some amount of time. That means you got to bring a lump sum to the table. The way you're going to bring the lump sum to the table to buy the property, to catch up the rears, to give the seller some additional cash, to pay for the closing cost, is you're going to put the property up rent to own, okay? It's a lease option. Typically, people will bring a down payment, agree to pay monthly payments. They're responsible for the maintenance while they lease the property from you, but they have the option to buy it within a certain agreed amount of time. Same time. Number 2, my way to make money off this subject to deal that I get on the contract is by selling the property while you have it under contract. Okay, now there's a couple ways you can do this. Number 1, you can sell your rights to the contract so you can have somebody else jump into your position. Okay, so literally you already did all the hard work and got the seller to agree to it. You're just gonna assign your beneficial rights to the trust that you got the deal under contract with to this new person. So they're gonna become the new owner of the trust and have this deal, and they can pay you for that. I'm talking 5, 10. I've even been paid $50,000 to help someone with a transaction like this. Okay. Now, third way we can find the money, okay, to bring to the table so we can buy, so we can own. So me and you,
right, can own houses with other people's mortgages is by raising private capital. Let's talk about 4 ways that you can make money with your subject to contracts, okay? Let's get into it. Number 1, you can raise private money for it. So you can get a friend, family, or partner to say, hey man, I need $7,000 to catch up the mortgage, give the seller some money so he can move. And we're gonna be able to rent this property out for $1,200. The mortgage right now is $400. Me and you, we can own it together. So you can partner with somebody or raise money for it. Next way is bringing in a lease option tenant. There are a pool of people who cannot qualify for a loan, but they have the down payment and make the income to own a home. There's